Moving on to Hearts, Callum. Well, this time last week we said, or
You said.
yeah, I said we'd really know where Hearts are. Have they turned that corner? Was it just a flash in the pan? And it's looking more like the pan.
It is looking more like the latter, yes. I think that it's... Look, injuries, of course.
I was going to say that, we'll come to that in a bit. But
Of course, but the chances Hearts missed on Saturday are unforgivable. The way they were set up at the start of the game is unforgivable. I think that I listened to Craig Levein's post-match and he dropped a wee sweary in, and you could tell, you could hear the emotion in his voice and the frustration, and I genuinely thought he was on the verge of tears during that interview on
so
Saturday.
I've had to watch that Hearts team every week.
But you know, he's coming in big statements saying that players will not need to knock on my door to ask why they're not playing because, you know, it's not good enough. I've protected them for too long. And
I think he's starting to really feel the pressure with things like that,
I think massively.
Yeah.
I think the thing is, you go to Easter Road, you get the 3 points, come from behind victory, character, the fans are in that post-derby bubble, more than happy to just, you know what, we can... But, you know, you follow that up with, you know, the penalty win against Aberdeen, which, you know, you said last week, it was, 30 seconds away from being a 2-1 defeat?
Yep.
Which, I still think Hearts fans would have been like, that's alright, on to St Mirren, 0-0 draw, and then, you know, it's another week, no goals scored. Don't start with a striker at home on Saturday, which is bad. I don't want to sound like Mikey Stewart, but you know, I think it's absolutely baffling that Levein decides to bring on Stephen McLean at half time when, if you've got a striker there, why is he not playing? Because he had Aidan Keena on the bench as well. You know, so why are these? If you've got a striker, why not playing them? It's Kilmarnock. I know that they've. To be fair, actually, I think we wrote them off a lot last week, but they have turned a corner. I think seven of the last 8 games they've kept a clean sheet.
They've got decent players that know this level. That can finish. And let's be honest, I think they were on that sort of crest of a wave kind of. Is that the right word phrase? Something like that. Under Steve Clarke, and they were punching above their weight a little bit, but they've still got good players. Callum, Brophy's a good player. Power and Dicker are good, and Finlay at their back. They've got
Stephen O'Donnell. I mean, they've got players that are there.
Of course they do.
Chris Burke, who pops up. It's definitely not his goal. Chris Burke pops up with, I mean, experienced Scotland international, played good level down south, Rangers up here, obviously. So he, in no way, is taking credit for that goal. He gets the head on it, and it comes off. I actually think it comes off Mulroney's arm and then deflects past Pereira. But Chris Burke's one of the smallest men on the park. Shouldn't be winning.
Is Levein trying to overcomplicate things here? You know, I know we speak about he's infamous with his whole Scotland tenure is all around the 4-6-0, and he's trying to be too clever. Just, it sounds daft, but
go back to basics, eh?
I'm just thinking that can't. Mike Bassett.
That's it, thank you.
4-4-2.
I was about to say Brian Blessed, but I was like, no, it's definitely
4-4-2. No, but just
go
back to basics,
100%. And well, albeit Hearts might need to find 2 strikers, but
it's McLean Keena. There you go. There's 2.
They're talking about Levein in his interview, injuries after the break. So injuries coming back after the break. So you've got to think positively. There's no doubt that the guys that are coming back are a step up in quality, will make a difference. Hearts should improve. my one thing is, what if it doesn't improve? What if it doesn't? You know.
Yeah. Agreed.
Which, you know, Stephen Naismith in the team, 100%. He's going to drag Hearts on. He's going to find little pockets of space.
Yeah.
But
how's he going to be when he comes back, Calm? I mean, how old is he now?
33.
33. Injuries have been a real factor of his Hearts career.
His last sort of 2-3 years.
He needs slowly
managed.
Correct. Absolutely.
But the problem is, Hearts are toiling, you know, and well, I'm not like, both Edinburgh clubs are absolutely toiling.
Agreed.
But Hearts got that great win and look like they've slipped back again, whereas Hibs have taken that and gone the sort of other way, are looking a little bit more positive.
Three draws in a row, away to, in inverted commas, away to Killie, clean sheet, and then 2-1 all draws
with teams that
Celtic and Aberdeen.
Like, I mean, the thing is, Hibs have played teams that all finished above them last year in the last 3 games. 2 away from home and picked up decent enough results. Whereas Hearts, you know, fair enough, Aberdeen finished above Hearts, but, you know, Kilmarnock also, but St Mirren were second bottom of the league.
Well, but also they lost. You know, they lost to Kilmarnock. So. I think something I said probably after the Motherwell Cup game, Callum, is that I'm on the main content with Hearts away from home. You know, think about the last sort of 2 league away games. They've picked up a point on the road to St Mirren. I mean, either way, you could say is that a good point or a bad point? I'm not very sure. Probably more the bad, but at least they never lost. And then they won away to Hibs, because I do feel they're better suited to playing away from home.
Yeah, 100%. I understand that, but the thing is, we are the Derby.
And you're not playing a striker at home.
Derby was 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we are sitting here talking about that as if it was
last week.
Yeah. You know, that's the problem. We can't sit here and look at positives. Machino looking good. We'll shoot from anywhere. Shots were pretty pony, to be honest, but like, at least I think if there's a player like Naismith and a player like Walker in or around him,
I think so too.
Someone else creative that he can bounce off, I think that more will come from him. But I think right now he looks very, very out of sorts because of what was around them.
I'm thinking here, Naismith's style of play, I'm thinking in my head here, a player that likes to maybe drop in, doesn't he? He likes to come off the front and drop in. I think Machino needs somebody that's going to go in behind, but I like Machino. He's always on that half turn.
No, but the thing is, like Hearts could play the classic Christmas tree, and they could play Machino and Naismith off someone. Okay, and or maybe Walker and Machino off someone. You know, to give Naismith that sort of, because Naismith can play in behind. You know, he's done it before.
We're complicating again though, Callum, aren't we? But we're complicating.
But we can complicate it. We're not in charge of Hearts. We can sit here and come up with 17 different formations and however many players to fill them. Of course, we can sit here and do that. But the thing is, we've got to sit here and do that because of where Hearts are. You know, the 7 home games without a win dates back to the 30th of March. Beating Aberdeen. Last time Hearts went, I think it's the longest period of time, but I mean obviously the summer break was in there, so it's technically the longest time period that Hearts have gone without a win at home. I think the last time it happened was 9 games in the relegation season, which again, understandable. It must have been 9 games in between them playing Hibs. No, so I don't see how it gets better. The next home game after the international break, not a chance Hearts are picking up 3 points.
Well, not the way that Rangers are going, Callum, but would it surprise you?
Yes, it would. Yes, I mean, like, I'm sorry.
Nah, you're right. Because for me, Callum, Tynecastle has changed a little bit
massively.
Since this.
Not a little bit, massively.
It was a poisonous place to go, wasn't it?
How many times did you hear players, fans talk about like favourite away days, Hearts? You know, just fantastic atmosphere, best atmosphere in the country, and you know it was absolutely brilliant. Tiny, like a few years ago. Now,
so what's changed? Could it be down to just the style of play and that type of thing that it really has just.
Well, no, because Hearts have had bad teams before, you know, and there's always been something that, I mean, I think Jeffrey's second spell started off fantastically, but then it's dipped dramatically before he got the sack. And you know, I think like Hearts have had to sit through like your Stevie Frails and what's the baldy glasses, McGlynn.
John McGlynn.
You know, Hearts have had to sit through these Hearts fans, sorry, have had to sit through these. So I don't think that it's necessarily the style of play, because, well, if you believe the media, the hype has always been about Hearts being that big physical team and never playing sort of fast flowing attractive football. I mean, but I don't think it's anything to do with the style of play, or because if you're turning up and your team's winning, then you'll sing about them.
Yeah. So maybe it is more the. Well, I don't know, but
I don't know. You sort of like threw me with asking me about the atmosphere.
No, it's not the atmosphere. It's just that it seems to have lost, because we're going way back now. You know, not one league win since way back in March. It's, what
I mean,
what's like, changed here?
I understand. Well, but then I think the atmosphere at Tynecastle's been poor for a couple of years now. If I'm honest, and yeah, it is.
Who knows?
I don't know. I mean, when Hibs built the new East Stand, went through a period of atmosphere being non-existent.
Yeah,
it was pitiful, and then singing section was founded, and then you know it
slowly got back.
So I mean, like there's still an atmosphere at Easter Road, but Tiny, I think you're toiling. I mean, was it perhaps the songbook getting ripped up after Hibs won the cup? Perhaps. Well, we'll look at the 3 games, Callum, that Hearts come back to. So it's Rangers at home, Livy away, St Johnstone away. 2 away games at the 3. Now, look, Rangers, I think the way that they're playing, the fact that they're top of the league now, they have, I mean, a lot of pressure will be on them. So, well, actually, they probably won't be top of the league, because Celtic will probably win on the Saturday, because that's a Sunday game. So, but it's a massive game. I think the Rangers will probably come away with 3 points. Livy, look, it's a game that Hearts should be winning, 100%. But if we look at what happened at the Tony Macaroni last season,
away's tough.
And that pitch.
Well, look at Celtic as well. They put Celtic to the sword, didn't they?
I mean, if Kevin Clancy's the referee with Ryan Christie's challenge, you know, both players get a yell. But no, I think it's going to be tough. Livy's pitch, the form Hearts are in, the fact that you're not wanting to risk guys just coming back from injury.
Agreed, on an Astro.
On that surface.
Agreed.
So, I mean, because literally, studs get caught, one quick turn of pace, boom, they're out for 6 months. And that would lie squarely with Levein. You know, you can't blame the pitch for that when you know that the pitch is shocking. Don't play these guys. Yep.
And then St Johnstone fighting for the lives down the bottom end.
Exactly, and St Johnstone have got better. Stephen May has now scored. I mean, we're talking about Hearts and home wins. Stevie May scoring goals is a sort of similar length of time.
Yeah.
Stevie May, if he can recover even like half the player that he was, will be tough to handle.
Agreed.
So, look, realistically for me, it should be 6 points for Hearts. But
I'm thinking probably either 4 or 5.
But again, I'm saying it should be. It should be 6 points. Yeah. In reality, it could be 2.
Yeah, agreed. Well, could be 1, none, even perhaps.
Exactly.
You're listening to Sportsound on the road in Bonnyrigg. Never fails, that one. Let's get another question on another subject, and it comes from Jose Herreros. Jose, where do we have Jose? And you can tell me firstly if I pronounced your name right as well.
It's Jose.
Jose. Okay, all right.
My question is, do you think Craig Levein should still have his job at Hearts?
Well, let's get an impartial view on that initially from Mr. Hearts, Gary Locke.
I thought I was here to talk about Bonnyrigg. Listen, there's no doubt about it, and Craig will know it himself, you know, he's under pressure. Any manager who's no won for the amount of games that Craig's no won. He knows he's going to be under pressure. I don't think he needs me or anybody else to tell him that.
How many Hearts fans in the room? Yeah, it's a bit of a Hearts. it's a bit of a Hearts. How many hands were up on the panel there? Yeah, it's a bit of a Hearts.
We've not started the season well. All we can do, obviously being an employee of the club, we just hope that it can be the reverse of last season, where we started like a train and then we fell away badly. This year we've not started well at all. Once we hopefully get some players back for injury, it will make a difference to the team, there's no doubt about that. But the problem that you have is a lot of these lads are still 2-3 weeks away from probably being fit, so we have probably got the strongest squad that I've seen Hearts having for the last 4 or 5 seasons. But the bottom line is, all that matters is getting results on a Saturday, and unfortunately at the minute, we've not been getting enough good ones.
Robbie Horn, former Hearts player yourself, what do you think?
Yeah, suffered by injuries, there's no doubt about that. Again, last year they were on a great run, and all their big players seemed to get injured. Berra, Suter, Naismith. And again this season you're looking at it, there's Naismith, who's a massive part of Hearts, is injured. Then you're looking at Suter, Halkett as well. Important players for them. So I agree, I think once they get players back, they will improve, but as Gary's saying, it's another few weeks maybe before they're back, so need to start picking up results quickly.
Rob, sorry to interrupt. You see,
I knew you were going to anyway.
he was itching to get there.
Press your buzzer.
No, it's my concern is that when the players come back from, we've got to a stage now where the Hearts would talk about the players that have been out injured. It's almost beneficial for the manager to have players out injured because he's never been judged. There's such a big squad at Hearts now that they should be able to have the capacity to deal with some injuries. And a lot was made about last year how there was, an unprecedented level of injuries. Do you know how many games Christophe Berra, John Suter, Stephen Naismith and Uche Ekpezu, because they're the 4 that they would say down the spine of the team, do you know how many games they missed together last season? Does anybody know? I mean, the way it talks is as if it was like 10 games that they missed. They missed 4.
So how many games did 3 of them miss?
7.
How many games did 2 of them miss? Do you know the answer to all of these?
No, so that's it. So there was 4 games where the 4 of them missed, and there was 7 where 3 of them missed. Christophe came back for the Rangers game, and then Naismith came back after 7 games out. So there was 7 games where 3 of them missed out. I mean, and this has almost been the reason why the whole season, fell apart. There's bigger problems than that, as far as I'm concerned. If Hearts get all the players back, it's a great squad, there's no doubt about it. Even with the injuries, it's still a good squad. It should be doing, this is expectation levels. And in my opinion, far too often with the manager, it's lower expectations, grind aspirations into the ground, and then just shoot a little bit lower. It's not good enough for a club like Hearts.
And of course, people will remember, Gemma, that would it be a year ago that Hearts were still top of the league at this stage last season?
It's a fickle business, isn't it? I support St Johnstone. Sure what.
Well, you have our sympathy.
Come on. No, look, it's in performance sport and in performance environments, it's really, really interesting. In fact, if there's anybody that likes people watching, you should watch it when it's going well and you should watch it when it's going bad, because it's how you react to those situations. He's probably getting a bit more lead time than anyone else would have in this situation. Maybe that's down to injuries, maybe that's down to Anne Budge, who is a business person and understands when you have a strategy, you stick to that strategy even though things can go up and things can go down.
I would argue that in business, if this strategy, if she had somebody that was the head of a department of her business that had been going wrong first year, spend more money, wrong second year, spend more money, going wrong again, I would suggest that she would be seeking some outside advice.
But who's to say that she's, 1, not seeking outside advice, and 2, doesn't have a deadline or timeline on herself and she's coming up to that? So
the comments that she came out with 2 weeks ago when there was serious pressure would suggest that she had backed herself into a corner and she wasn't turning. And speaking from personal experience, there is absolutely no danger that there's any outside advice being given to that club on a football basis.
Well, at the end of the day, it's on her head to make that call.
You're right, it is.
And she will be judged by whether or not she does make that call. She doesn't make that call.
But people power will have it say, Gary, won't it? eventually in this, no matter what Anne Budge's thought was, and no matter how untouchable people think Craig Levein is. I mean, there have been protests, maybe not, you wouldn't call them large-scale protests yet, but results continue for a few more weeks in a similar vein. Those protests will get bigger, won't they?
Yeah, and it's not just Hearts that happens. You know, that happens at every club. You know, especially the supporters at Hearts, with the way they've saved the club and the amount of money that they put into the club month to month. There was a lot of unrest, you know, at a home game a couple of weeks ago. We then got a couple of good results against, obviously, Hibs and then Aberdeen. And then we got a bad result again last week, and that's when you hear, obviously, the unrest. So, you're right, you know, if the fans turn on the manager like they did Ian Cathro, inevitably you've got to make a big decision. But, you know, Craig's basically said, you know, he believes that he can turn it around. And the next couple of weeks are going to be huge for us.
Gary's obviously in a very awkward position, and granted, you know, it's very, you know, difficult for him to say, you know, anything else, and I applaud him for what he is saying. But, you know, the fans have turned. You know, to say that
in what sort of numbers?
Well, Ian Cathro was, you know, and this is the other thing, you know, to suggest that it's too early in a season to make a change. Why did they sack Ian Cathro before the league campaign even started? You know, that there's contradictory things that come out of Hearts all the time. You know, that Ian Cathro sacked before the league campaign started. It was the right decision because it wasn't working. Craig Levein says that he thinks he can turn it around. There's the crux of the matter. He unilaterally is able to decide whether he's the man to continue.
Could he stay on as director of football and hire another head coach?
I mean, anything could happen. It's farcical.
Who would you hire?
But see, this thing about who would you hire, there's a big world out there. There's a lot of very talented football people. It's not my job to sit here and go and get that man.
Do you have any ideas?
No, I don't. I'm not going to sit here and say that's the person to get the job. Jack Ross just got sacked from Sunderland. I would be of a, you know, mind that Jack would do a better job. But again, it's almost a futile argument to say that person, that person, that person. Football's a big world.
I'll change the question. What type of manager do they need?
Well, again, I'll go back to what I just said about the whole youth side of things. For me, I think, you know, this is the whole thing that's been sold about Hearts. You create the player, that you develop them in the academy. Then you have to have somebody that is willing to create that space and opportunity. Signing 14 players in a summer transfer window is never going to allow youngsters to play, because you sign those players, they're the ones that are going to get the first opportunity. Again, you look at the turnover of players. Said he wanted 4 players, signed 9 players. You're not creating a space for youngsters to get a chance. So I would want somebody that actually buys into, not with lip service, but genuinely buys into the youth development, because I think Hearts are a perfect model to create players, really talented players, and give them. I mean, what better place for a youngster, you know, to go and, you know, develop their skills than playing at Tynecastle every other week, to then potentially move on to the next stage. But I don't think it's done enough. Let's have a show of hands of the Hearts fans in the room, and plenty of them here tonight. Stick your hand up if you want Craig Levein to stay on in the job. Sorry, Craig, that's about 3.5 hands that went up there. No, another couple over there. It's a growing trend. It's a growing trend. How many Hearts fans here want Craig Levein out? Right, well, that's there is debate about it, which the show of hands proves. The ones wanting him removed probably beat the ones who want him to stay, but it's a matter of great debate. Is the microphone still close to Jose? I wouldn't mind hearing just at the end of that discussion, Jose, what you think yourself.
Yeah, I totally agree with Michael. The youth products we have coming through, like Harry Cochrane, Anthony McDonald, they're not getting game time. That's why they went out on loan. Personally, I believe Craig Levein's only in a job because the results against Hibs and Aberdeen. If he lost both of them, I don't think he would be at the club right now.
It remains and will continue a major talking point in Scottish football.
Right, let's get back to the football this weekend. Big game on Sunday. Hearts versus Rangers at Tynecastle. 12:15 kick-off live coverage on Sportsound. Hearts' last home win was well over 6 months ago. They lost to Kilmarnock in their last match of this season, and so much talk since about manager Craig Levein. Today he spoke to the media.
Yeah, it has been difficult. There's no doubt about that. My focus is obviously on staying positive and trying to keep everybody's spirits high. I see with the return to training of some of our better players, I see obviously a chance for us to have a better competition for placing, particularly for starting places. And that's something that we need. I know I got frustrated after the last game because I looked back at our results. We've been losing by the odd goal. We've had chances to win games. So we've been failing on a number of fronts. and we just need to tidy everything up and be a little bit more secure and definite in what we're doing. So I can go with the coaches and work with them on the training ground on that. I think the biggest help will be getting some players back in who generally perform at a higher level. It's a game against the most informed team in the league, who've got the added confidence of hitting top spot. Games against Rangers for us recently haven't been as good as we would have liked, which is another thing that we want to make up for. We've lost goals at set pieces, and when I look back through the last couple of seasons, we've gifted goals as well. My first thoughts would be, if we can get through the match without making any blatant errors, then I'd be happy. And then after that, as I say, Uchi comes back in the team who's done well against Rangers in the past. And we've got more solidity and better physical presence with Peter coming back as well. So for the set pieces and also for making mistakes, and particularly in the central midfield area, I feel that we're better equipped to deal with that.
The Hearts manager, Craig Levein there. Hearts up against Rangers this weekend, Sunday 12:15 kickoff at Tynecastle. Stephen Gerrard, the Premiership Manager of the Month, he was saying Rangers deserve to be top of the table. Alfredo Morelos, Premiership Player of the Month with 3 goals in September as well. So it's all kind of boiling up to being a hugely interesting match on Sunday. Hearts obviously struggling so much this season in so many ways, John Hughes, and I think a lot of Hearts fans were pinning a lot of hope on Stephen Naismith coming back for Hearts this weekend, but it turns out that that's not actually going to be the case. He's not going to be fit in time for the Rangers match, and that's going to be a huge blow for Hearts.
Yeah, to miss Hearts he's been struggling with injury, and obviously with Nazy, he's the catalyst for everything that Hearts do. He sets the tempo, the work rate, presses for the front, and he's a massive miss. Surprises me at Hearts, I've no won at home. Is it since back in March?
That's correct, the end of March, yeah. Over 6 months, yeah.
And your home stadium should be a fortress, and it seems to me like it scares them a little bit playing in front of the supporters. But saying that, playing against Rangers, they've got nothing to lose. Rangers are flying, play right good football. Stephen Gerrard's playing great football, score goals. So Hearts have got nothing to lose. I says on this show a couple of weeks back in terms of Hearts, and sort of stood on Craig Levein's side being in the managers' union, and I stick by that. But a supporter come on and says, he sort of pulled me up for that, saying, I understand why all the managers do that. Their complaint was the style of football, and that has to improve. Talking to the Hearts supporters around about Edinburgh, it's the style of football and how they're playing their football. So hopefully, on Sunday they can go and get a result and play a real good style of football and get a result. But saying that, Jonathan, I cannot see it. I think Rangers are just in the groove at the moment, got all the momentum, playing with confidence, scoring goals, and I can only see a Rangers win.
Well, I'm just looking at Rangers' results in recent times, and we should just clarify as well, Hearts haven't won in the league at home since the end of March, but Rangers, Derek Adams, rampant at this moment in time under Stephen Gerrard. 5-0 last time out against Hamilton in the league. Before that, it was 5-0 at Ibrox against Aberdeen, and then in the league before that, it was 4-0 away at St Johnstone. So they're not conceding any goals, and they're scoring barrel loads. No, they're in magnificent form, and to have a front two that you can choose from, Morelos and Defoe, put one in, take one out, and they both scored goals. They've been in fantastic form. They play the same way each week, with the 3 in midfield, the ones coming in off the side, and they're very adaptive. Their team, they can pass the ball, they can run, they're very creative, and to score the goals and to win the games they have done this season, and the pressure's been on them. Celtic have been nipping away at them for many years. Celtic have been on top, now Rangers are on top of the league. Can they stay there? They go to a difficult venue in Hearts. I've watched Hearts at the start of the season, the first game of the season against Aberdeen. Hearts are winning. Hearts give away a free kick in the side. Boy gets sent off. Hearts, Aberdeen score a goal, equaliser, and then they lose the game. That's the fine points in management. I think that Hearts are obviously in a false position, we could say, because of the size of the club. But going back to the history of not winning away at home since March, it's a difficult one. And the way that Rangers are playing, you can only see
a Rangers victory.
Do you think Craig Levein, his position's been under so much scrutiny, Derek Adams? Obviously, he's director of football and manager. If he was just the manager, would he still be there, given how difficult a time he's had of it of late?
Yeah, I think he would. I think that he's got very good support from the board at the football club. I think that, as I'm alluding to, the first game of the season at Aberdeen could have gone in Hearts' way. They could have won that game. It's fine margins. They've got a difficult game on Saturday. What happens if they win that game? They can, move themselves up the league. We're all saying that Hearts are going to lose the game. Hearts might win the game. They might give us a shock. And, Craig Levein has done that already this season. Beating Hibs and beating Aberdeen is showing that they can compete against the top teams. So let's see what Sunday brings.
How difficult is that pressure to deal with going into a match like this, John, when you're Craig Levein and you know that a lot of the Hearts fans have serious questions about yourself?
Yeah, I can understand, as I say, that what I'm hearing about Edinburgh is just, as I say, is the style of football. But Craig's experienced and he'll handle it. There'll be a little. I don't think there'll be pressure. There'll be a lot of frustration of what I mentioned, of his injured players. As Naismith and is it the big boy coming back? Is it Haring?
Yeah,
in
that's right.
He's a good player. He holds that midfield. He's got a nice tempo to him. He holds that midfield together. So there'll be a little bit of frustration with Craig that he can't get his best players on the pitch. The centre back out at the sign from Livingston's out injured.
Halkett, yes.
Halkett, so it's like that, and that'll be Craig's frustration. In terms of pressure, no, he'll be wanting to play the game every week. That's what managers thrive on. Bring it up, do your match analysis, prepare the game, and hopefully you can go out seeing that come to fruition, and hopefully it's good enough to take Rangers' scalp.
Just finally, on this match, Johnny Russell is a now self-confessed Celtic fan. How concerned are you now? Rangers obviously top of the Premiership, but going great guns under Steven Gerrard. How serious a challenge are they to Celtic's dominance?
I think they've shown, especially recently, that they've vastly improved. I think reading out those scores there, they've been dominant in games, crushing teams at times as well. So it makes it interesting. Definitely does. I think very difficult place to go there. It's a place I always loved going as a player. It was,
although not so much in recent times, obviously.
Yeah, not so much in recent times. But it's a game that I see Rangers winning. I can't really see them slipping up at the minute. They've been in great form. They've been playing great. Like you said, you've got two strikers there who know where the back of the net is, and they're spoiled for choice there. So they have definitely closed the gap that people were talking about, and it's definitely does make it interesting. Yeah,
well, yeah, absolutely.
Jonathan, looking at it, if you look at it last year, I think Rangers come out on top on the head-to-head against Celtic. They lost more of the games against the lesser clubs, so-called lesser clubs, and Celtic went on to win it. We're 8 games in, and I'm seeing a different trend. I'm saying if you look at Celtic, they get the draw with Hibs, and they get beat for Livingston. Rangers go to Livingston, win 1-0, and albeit Hibs at Ibrox with a man sent off Hibs, and they go and win 5-0. So I'm seeing a different trend, but I also agree with Johnny, it's much improved, even for last year. They play real good football, got goal scorers, and what he has done, well, we're all asking the question on his recruitment. He's recruited players for when he needs to chop and change it and bring it together, he can do it, and these guys come in and hit the ground running.
So who's going to win the league?
I still fancy Celtic.
Johnny?
Celtic.
Derek?
Rangers.
Interesting. Good. It would be a shame if you'd all agreed. The producer's happy.
Hearts, Rangers. What's going to happen, Finn?
I think Rangers are going to win.
Why do you think that? Is it because Hearts can't win against anyone? Is that part of the thinking? Or?
That's part of it, but I also just think Rangers' form outside of the obvious Old Firm defeat has been pretty impressive. Steven Gerrard's got a pretty good record against Craig Levein. I think he won 4 out of 4 last season. So, I would struggle to see Hearts having this down as the game to try and turn their season around from
Craig Levein's record versus Rangers as Hearts boss. Has played 24, won 1.
Hearts haven't won at home in the league since the 30th of March. Can you guess who that was against, JJ?
Aberdeen.
There you go.
That's why you asked me. I'm wise.
I know you expect you to know all Aberdeen-related stats.
I know all the Scottish football. Well, I don't.
But yeah, this normally you would say Rangers going to Hearts would be a tricky game for them. Tynecastle traditionally has been a difficult place to go, but not so much this season. And I just don't see the way Rangers have been playing. I know they've maybe now got, I think this is a good thing for them, but they've maybe now got a few more players away on international duty than they have in previous seasons. Like Aribo has been away with Nigeria, scored against Brazil. Morelos has been away with Colombia. Barisic with Croatia. So they've maybe not had the 2-week training block that they have had in recent times during international breaks. But still, they've got enough players that have been there throughout the 2 weeks to prepare for this game. And the way they've been playing, I don't really see them having much trouble against this Hearts team unless there is somehow a massive reaction from Hearts, but we've been waiting for that for a long time and it hasn't come.
I mean, the big thing would be that it's home advantage, and I think everyone raises their game against teams like Rangers and Celtic especially, so you might get a little bit extra from Hearts players there. However, they are going to be set up very defensively, you'd think. It looks like Dickamona's back in the team, Berra's back, Michael Smith's back. Machino, I think he's a decent player. I watched him on Y-Scout quite a lot, and it's really exciting. I know he's getting taken off early from what I've seen of him.
But it's a very Levein thing, do you not think? It's like he's small and skillful and quite lightweight, and it's like, I can't trust him because it's a very kind of Levein way to manage.
I think a lot of Scottish managers do that. But then the thing is, like, they're going to set up a really defensive. It's probably going to be a back 5, maybe a 4 midfield, but maybe a 3. They played like some sort of version of a 5-3-2, a 5-3-1-1, whatever, against Kilmarnock, and they only lost that. And I think it was a throw-in. And second phase of the throw-in, Jake Mulroney just loses. Chris Burke creeps up on him off his shoulder and scores. But it looks like Levein wants to just try and get some points on the board, like just 1-1s or 0-0s, just block it out and build from there. And Rangers is a dangerous team to do that against. Though they struggled in the past with low block teams, they should be able to get
but I think
chances.
The fact that Hearts playing in that way, as you say, play that way at home to Kilmarnock, and they still concede, and we've talked all season about how Kilmarnock have become very good defensively over the past few weeks, but really struggled to score goals. And even they found a way through. Berra being back will make a big difference, but I just don't see how Hearts even playing that way frustrate Rangers long enough or well enough to keep them out.
I think you were just saying there as well, Kieran, that Rangers have had quite a few international players out this week, and some of them travelling long distances. Scott Arfield was out in Canada. But I think it's a strength in depth this season that's a big difference from last season. And looking at someone like Greg Stewart, who I think at the start of the season, a lot of Rangers fans were just like, what are we signing him for? Like, yeah, he was great at Kilmarnock. He struggled in 2 spells at Aberdeen.
But not good at Aberdeen.
but he, I just even saying the way he's didn't come into the team, like his work rate is one thing. He might not have the ability that some of the other players do, but his intelligence, I think, is there, and he does give Rangers something different. So when you're losing a player like Arfield or whatever at the squad, knowing that you can rely on someone like Greg Stewart coming in is a real bonus.
And as Jordan hinted at, they've been on this run of form without Ryan Kent, basically, who's only played like 20-30 minutes against Livingston. He might be fit, as Jordan said, at least for an appearance off the bench this weekend, so that's just another attacking threat to add into the mix.
And he's surely to make a difference in the big games. I mean, against teams like Celtic, and I guess, well, Motherwell technically at the moment, that sort of games there. One more thing quickly in this, have you seen the bit about Aaron Hickey? So the press tends to get involved in some of these games now and again, and I wonder how influenced by the club they are, or whether it's the press leaking things. So there's some sort of bid for Aaron Hickey coming from Rangers apparently, which Levein's obviously dismissed straight away and said he's in for Morelos. But these things do happen. Like when they play against a team that could be tricky, it's a classic Football Manager style way to disrupt your opponent by putting a bid in.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I sometimes think it works the other way. That if you're Aaron Hickey now, it's a great chance for you to go and prove yourselves a bit strong, but show why a team like Rangers would be interested in you. Would you not be more motivated and encouraged to play well rather than it be a destabilising effect?
But then it's because even that little thought is unsettling, so you're not where you were before. So it has that effect. It'll be good fun.
I think it's also that thing where, because it was an international break, it's kind of a slow news week in many regards, and it's an easy kind of win, I think, especially with Ross Wilson coming in, because Southampton were a club that were looking at him along with a couple of other English Premier League League clubs. So it kind of makes sense to make that logical jump, just being like, oh, Southampton were interested in him, he's just moved to Rangers, therefore Rangers will be interested too. But I think with Barisic playing as well as he is, I don't think Rangers really have a need for a left back at this point.
Over to you, Aaron Hickey.